Welcome to Pulse Check, where we have quick conversations about how to help people across Alabama live healthier lives. Today, we're talking about something that is important to so many people across our state. It brings connection, it brings love, joy, and even emotional support to so many families, and that's our pets. Joining me today is Jenny Warren, Director of Development for CARE Humane Society in Auburn. CARE has spent decades serving companion animals and the people who love them through rescue, adoption, education, foster care, spay and neuter programs, and community support initiatives across Lee County. Jenny is deeply passionate about animal welfare and the roles pets play in our homes and communities. Through her work, she's helped connect countless animals with loving families while also helping educate pet owners about responsible care and wellness. Today, we're talking about pet health, summer safety, animal rescue, and why caring for animals says a lot about how we each care for each other. Jenny, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, what first drew you to animal welfare work, and why are you so passionate about it?
So, my original job was in sales. It was not in nonprofit or animal welfare, but I absolutely love animals. I have had animals my entire life. And 4 years ago, I just took a chance and applied for this job. And I wish I would have done it sooner, but I say, it's never too late. And I absolutely love it.
Perfect. Well, how do pets positively impact emotional health, stress, and overall well being for their owners and families?
That's a great question. So pets positively impact emotional health and stress by, helping with your overall well-being. So they provide companionship, comfort, a routine and unconditional love, of course. And for many people, pets help reduce anxiety and stress. And if you have a child in your home and you have a pet, this helps the child grow up, and have empathy and compassion and responsibility. And so pets are just truly part of the family.
I love that. And, we're at a time in the year, we call it the dog days of summer. When summer extends, it stays hot. What are some things that pet owners can do to take care of their pets during the summer, during the hot times of the year? Because here it's going to stretch on August, September, and even early October. It'll still be warm. What are some of the biggest safety concerns that pet owners should be aware of?
Yeah. So the biggest concerns of the summer and the heat and everything is that summer can be dangerous for, pet owners and the pets if you're not careful. So heat related illnesses are some of the biggest concerns. Hot pavement can burn the paws of the pads of a cat or a dog, and the pet can be dehydrated if they're not like indoors and they're left outside in the heat.
What are some warning signs that pet owners sometimes overlook going on with their pets to let them know that they may be in distress or overheating?
So that's a great question too. So some warning signs that people might not, think about and they might overlook is that pets have excessive panting and drooling. They can be lethargic. They can be weak, vomiting, bright red gums, disorientation. And most people do not realize if a pet suddenly slows down during a walk or lays down and refuses to move, that this can be a sign of distress from heat. And heat stroke can happen very quickly. And you should always treat your pet at, a local vet or emergency room for a vet. And most importantly, don't ever leave your pet in a locked car or even in a car just for a few minutes to run to the store when there's extreme heat outside.
Beyond the heat, what should pet owners know about ticks, fleas, heartworms, things like that?
Great question. So something that pet owners should know about ticks, fleas, heartworm is that, summer is the peak for this. And so fleas and ticks thrive in warm weather. And this is so important to remember. And you should always keep your pets up to date with monthly preventatives and stay up to date with any vaccines they need and routines from your veterinarian.
Why are routine pet visits so important? Things like vaccinations, spaying and neutering. Why does preventative care matter so much when it comes to our pets?
Preventative care is so important. And some of the things are that it keeps your pet healthy and it avoids costly medical emergencies later. So a routine veterinary visit can catch early concerns and help with costs because you're catching those concerns early. And then most importantly, spaying and neutering improve long-term health care to help reduce pet overpopulation. So prevention's always easier, safer, and more affordable than treatment.
So, similar to people, get regular checks so that a doctor knows your history, or in this case, a veterinarian knows your history and can get ahead of any problems or issues that might surface. Well, what do people most often misunderstand about animal shelters or rescue organizations? What do you think the public misses about that?
Yeah, so there are some misunderstandings about animal shelters and rescue organizations. One of the most biggest misconceptions is that the shelter's the problem. And I hate to say that the community's the problem, but it is so true. So before we can have a or a reduction in the overpopulation of animals, we have to have people doing the right thing and making those good decisions. And then overall the community, those things get better. So in reality, wonderful pets end up at the shelter due to housing challenges, financial hardships, or unexpected life changes. Animal welfare, organizations are often operating with limited space. I know that we definitely operate with limited space and staffing and resourcing. And that's why it's so important to spay and neuter your pets so you don't have that overpopulation of strays.
How much of a difference does microchipping make when pets go missing?
So microchipping is so important when your pet goes missing. It makes a huge difference. Collars fall off. Cats, outside cats that are pets, their collars are meant to come off so they don't get tangled up and hurt themselves. And so when your pet is lost, that microchip is always there and it will help that family be reunited. And that's the most important thing. If you've ever lost a pet or misplaced a pet, for me, those are family and it can be scary. And so that microchip is going to help make sure that you find your pet and your pet is reunited with you.
Well, Jenny, what do you think children learn from caring for an animal or having a pet in the home?
So kids learn so much from having a pet in their home. They learn empathy and caring for another living being. And if you could get your kid in a summer camp like we have, that gives them a more hands-on experience and more education to learn about the shelter and all the pets that are misplaced and find their forever home.
You mentioned how owning a pet at a young age can teach responsibility. And then just a few minutes ago, we also talked about the importance of being a responsible pet owner, spaying and neutering, kind of keeping the populations of our shelters down. What are some of the other, besides overcrowding, the other challenges that animal welfare organizations are facing right now?
One of the biggest challenges that animal welfare organizations are facing right now is that shelters across, the state, across the county are full, and we're seeing an increase in animals and surrenders and abandonment. So, fostering, volunteering, that's why these things are so important. And then there's also veterinary shortages and limited resources, and it makes it harder to provide timely care for a growing number of animals in need. And we never want to make those hard calls. We want to do the responsible thing by caring for every pet that walks through our doors. And, especially kitten and puppy season when, pets are not spayed or neutered, then this, increases that and limits space and resources. So continued support is more important than ever to help meet this need and continue saving lives.
Is there a rescue or an adoption story that has stayed with you?
Yes, actually. And I thought about not telling this, but an adoption story or a rescue story. So that really stays with me is I was working at the shelter fresh for about a month. And I've been here for 4 years, but this was when I was just getting my feet wet. And I saw the city of Auburn bring in an intake. It was this adorable, sweetest pit bull, and it had been outside and it had heartworms, and the leg was so messed up that the bone was exposed, and the pet got the leg amputated and then got adopted by a veterinary student. And that dog lives his happiest life now. And so those are the stories that mean so much to me, even though that is, that's a really crazy thing to think about. But I think it's important to tell people that these things do happen. And when a pet walks through in that shape, in that condition, we're not going to euthanize that pet. We're going to do everything we can to make that pet better.
What are some ways that somebody can support animal welfare if they can't take on a pet in their home, they can't take on or foster other animals? What are some meaningful ways that people can help a shelter?
Yeah. So, some meaningful ways that people can help the shelter is simply by adopting, but you don't have to adopt. There's something for everyone. You can foster. Fostering saves two lives. It saves the foster that you took to your house, and it gives more room in the shelter. And this helps the personality of the pet, because not all pets do well in a shelter, and so fostering a pet is important as well. And then you can also volunteer or donate supplies. You can sponsor medical care. You can attend events. We have a fun event coming up. Or you can just simply share the pets on social media, and that makes a huge impact. So even small actions help animals find homes and the care that they need.
I love that. Last question. What do you wish more people understood about responsible pet ownership and animal care?
I wish people would understand about responsible pet ownership and care by knowing that, they rely on us completely for their safety, health, and emotional well being. Responsible pet ownership means providing proper medical care, training, exercise, patience, and love with every stage of your life. And animals are not disposable. They are family members, and they should be, treated with the most utmost importance.
That's so true. They are our family members. They help us be more emotionally connected. They teach us responsibility, and it's so important to show them that same respect. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for being here today. I always enjoy seeing you. I'm glad we got to spend some time together and that you took a moment to share your perspective. You mentioned a fun event coming up. Tell us about that, and then also let us know, is there a website where somebody can learn more?
Yes. So thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. I love getting the word out about what we do at CARE Humane Society. If you want to know more, you can follow us on social media. That is www.carehumane.org. Or you can go on our Facebook. We have Instagram. And then we also have this really fun event called Wine Whiskers and Wag. And it is happening July the 15th. And you can learn all about it on our website. And again, that is www.carehumane.org. And I hope that you'll join us, follow us, and be there, every step of the way.
I love that. Well, and if you're watching and you want more information about Pulse or you want to view more stories like this one, you can go to alabamapulsemagazine.com. And if you have any suggestions about guests or topics we should cover, please let us know. Thanks.